Today we're going to talk about a great man, maybe even the greatest man that ever lived. A man that despite immense power, grave loss and many setbacks, persisted in life and ultimately died as a good man. Today we're going to talk about Marcus Aurelius. Also known as the last of the 5 good emperors of Rome and as the Philosopher King. In the year 121 AD, Marcus Aurelius was born in Rome as Marcus Annius Verus. Despite belonging to a wealthy family, he faced the loss of his father at a young age of 3. The young boy started to study the ways of the philosophers, and he had a particular interest in the Stoic ways. Marcus's potential was noticed early on by at the time the Roman Emperor Hadrianus. Hadrianus took a liking to the young boy and decided to arrange a marriage for him. Now being only 15 years old, was to be married to the daughter of the next Roman Emperor, Lucius Aelius Verus Caesar. Fate had other plans, leading to a cancelled marriage due to the untimely death of Marcus' father-in-law-to-be. Hadrianus, keen on securing his legacy, chose Antonius Pius as his successor, but with the condition that Marcus and Lucius Verus, the son of Lucius Aelius, be adopted by Pius. This set the stage for their future role as emperors. Pius made sure Lucius and Marcus were being tutored by the best. These teachers had a profound impact on Marcus Aurelius, shaping both his intellectual and his moral character. However, it was Junius Rusticus, a prominent Stoic philosopher, that had a significant impact on Marcus' philosophical development and likely played a crucial role in introducing him to Stoicism. In time, Pius arranged a marriage to one of his daughters, Faustina the Young, with whom Marcus had his children. Sadly, the majority of his children did not survive childhood. Only one son reached adulthood, and despite Marcus himself being remembered as a good man, his sole surviving son, Commodus, is remembered as the direct opposite. Antonius Pius' reign was marked by overall peace, with only a few small barbaric uprisings. In the last years of Pius' reign, Marcus served as a consul, assisting Pius in his governance of the empire. After Antonius Pius died in 106 AD, it was time for Marcus to take the throne. Initially hesitant about imperial office, Marcus, true to his Stoic principles, recognized his duty and took on the role as an emperor. The Senate planned to confer Marcus alone. However, Marcus refused to take office unless Lucius received equal power, marking the first time Rome was ruled by 2 emperors. Unfortunately for Marcus and Lucius, their reign was not so peaceful. Soon after their ascension, the king of Parthia made his move on one of Rome's client states, the Kingdom of Armenia. The Parthians quickly expelled the Armenian king and installed their own, but this was not the only problem. On the other side of the Roman Empire, Germanic uprisings started to cause trouble, and Marcus and Lucius were ill prepared for this. Normally, emperors-to-be would gain experience in a providence. They would learn about handling Germanic tribes and/or bordering kingdoms. However, Marcus spent his early career at Antonius Pius' side and not in a providence, and Lucius did not have any experience in ruling prior to ascending to the throne. During these challenging times, Marcus maintained close contact with his mentor Fonto. The burden of leadership weighed heavily on him. In a correspondence between them, Marcus showcased his true feelings to his duty. Marcus dedicated the majority of his evenings on judicial matters instead of leisure. Upon hearing of this, Fonto tried to persuade Marcus to follow the example of his predecessors and allocate some time for himself. Marcus could not take Fonto's advice, replying with,
"I have duties hanging over my head that can hardly be begged off,"
giving us an example of how Marcus felt about his duty as an emperor. During his reign, Marcus Aurelius cared for his people. He promoted ideals like free speech, and even during dark times, he would try his best to provide for his citizens. Over the winter of 161 to 62, news was that a rebellion was beginning in Syria. It was decided then that Lucius should direct the Parthian war in person, leaving Marcus Aurelius alone in Rome. It would take Lucius 5 years to win the war against the Parthians, and despite never actually seeing combat himself, he returned victorious in 166 AD. Lucius died not 2 years later, after falling ill of either food poisoning or as the victim of smallpox, during a widespread epidemic known as the Antiochone Plague. Ancient sources agree that the plague likely appeared during the siege of Mesopotamia, the same city Lucius laid siege to. Lucius now dead, made Marcus the sole ruler of the Roman Empire. And although the Parthian problem was solved, the Germanic problem remained, and Marcus himself duly left for the front, stationing himself in modern-day Austria in an effort to stop the Germanic invasion. It was during this time Marcus Aurelius wrote his most famous work called Meditations, meaning things to himself in Greek, indicating that his work was never meant to be published, but was written as a reminder to himself. And it was this work that showed the world what kind of man Marcus Aurelius truly was. One of his most famous quotes is,
"You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength."
After ending the Germanic uprising in 67, Marcus returned to Rome. The moment Marcus returned to Rome, he made one grave mistake. He named his sole surviving son, Commodus, as consul, and shortly after, as co-emperor. But what was it that made Commodus the opposite of his father? Commodus was known for his luxurious lifestyle and wasteful spending. Where his father devoted his life to duty and work, Commodus devoted his life to pleasure and power. Where Marcus promoted free speech, Commodus punished any and everyone who criticized him, even going so far as to engage in political purges, executing or banishing many senators and political rivals. Later in life, Commodus claimed divine status, and even went so far to rename Rome and its legions after himself. But most of this was after he became sole ruler. Yes, the signs were there, and Marcus knew his son was flawed. But when the Germanic uprising started again, Marcus took Commodus with him, hoping he could put him on the right path before he would take the throne. For a second time in his life, fate intervened. Marcus Aurelius beat the Germanic tribes once more, but sadly he died soon after. Historians suspect it was by the hands of his own son, and that is where Aurelius' story ends. In his life, Marcus Aurelius became the most powerful man on earth, but that did not corrupt him. He stayed true to himself and the duty he had as a Roman emperor. The last good emperor only knew war, and yet he kept the Roman Empire from falling apart. He believed we were all meant to live together, in equality. To end this video, I'll use one particular quote. For everyone who doesn't agree with me when I say Marcus Aurelius is one of the greatest men that ever lived. Everything we hear is an opinion, not a fact. Everything we see is a perspective, not the truth. Hey guys, if you like this video, consider subscribing. It's free and it will mean a lot to me. Thank you and see you again.